What is up, everybody? Welcome back. Normally, this is the B&A Show time. Actually, we've been started now, normally about 15 minutes ago. However, due to the storms that rolled through the South this past weekend, things are a little bit different. My understanding is the whole area where Blake is at is without power. Um, and I'll be honest with you, it's been a minute since we've seen storms like that pop up because there was just an absolute crazy amount of tornadic activity that happened on Easter. It took and killed 30 across the southeast. Just hearts and your hearts take and go out. You take and got to be sending prayers out to the people that are affected by this stuff. It's definitely not what you want to see at all happen. We're already dealing with the coronavirus and the things that have the lockdowns and everything of that nature. I mean, the governor of Alabama actually lifted the stay-at-home order to take and open up gymnasiums and things of that nature, shelters where people who are in mobile homes and things, and homes that aren't exactly the safest places because they're older or whatever reason, actually lifted the stay-at-home order so people can actually kind of break the social distancing rules so they can have a safe place to go. We got lucky. Here, I haven't read of any deaths, but we did have a tornado that was touch and go for about 160 miles all through here. Absolutely crazy. So unfortunately, Blake's not with me today, and this is my first time taking and doing a live on Tuesday without Blake. This feels very awkward and odd for me because one of the things I look forward to every week is taking and joining, taking and jumping in and, taking and getting that link from him about 5 minutes before we take and go live or whatever, and just taking a sit there, shooting the shit and getting the whole, hey, so what are we going to talk about today? I don't know. We're just going to take and go by the seat of our pants, which is basically how all of our shows take and go, other than whatever pops up off the top of his head and what kind of interaction that we take and actually get from you that's actually watching. So, Trevor, hope everything is going good for you, buddy. Thanks for stopping in, man. Same thing, Mr. Beer Hounds. Hopefully everything's going good for you there in California, homie. Have they taken let up any of those restrictions they've got over there, or are you part of the essential crowd? And which I honestly think essential people should have gotten a pay boost from the federal government, kind of like people that were non-essential didn't get any. Daniel, what's up, buddy? Hope all is well with you, man. It's been a hot minute. I need to take and get up and go fishing with you at some point in time because you be posting some pictures of some nice looking fish. Just gonna say. Really, this is gonna be another one of those where I'm not gonna take and do anything different. I'm gonna fly this one by the seat of my pants as well. Normally, it seems to work pretty well for me, all things considered. So I tell you, I don't know if any of y'all seen, but NASCAR has been doing those I races and things like that. Driver Kyle Larson, he probably ended his career over the weekend. He said the N word with the hard R at the end of it, and all of his sponsors have pulled, and rightfully so. That's not something that you want to take and to have somebody that represents your company associate. You don't want to associate with something like that. So it's, he apologized for it, said it doesn't take, and it's not something he normally does, but hearing it slip out the way it did, I'll be honest with you, sounds like that's something he says repeatedly, probably in the comfort of his own home and things of that nature. It's helping you getting y'all having slow days, and y'all got to take and draw straws who goes home first. That's kind of what they're doing at the wife's job site where she works at. She works in the office, and basically it's like, all right, so we ain't got nothing going on. We haven't been doing anything for the last 3 hours in this office. We're leaving early, and they just 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they're taking leave. So. Yeah, Tesla stock is going back up, which I didn't figure that was going to take and fall for too long. Which actually, and Trevor, I planned on it being out at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock today, but my 6-year-old's like, no, you're not editing any videos today, because I took one from episode 1 to number 17 of, because I think 18 was just dropped this morning, but episode 1 to episode 7 of the Model Y breakdown that Monroe's doing right now. So, and I took in, actually I found it pretty informative on what he's finding and stuff like that. It's just, but yeah, that'll be out tomorrow at 4 o'clock. So I didn't realize 17 videos added up to 3 hours though. That's for sure. Still getting 40 hours. That's cool. It's like the Twilight Zone. Dude, it's like the Twilight Zone across this whole country, but the way everything's been just handled, it really has. What's up, Jimmy? Cheers to you, buddy. Hopefully you're doing good, man. Hey, wifey. Can you come home early today? Oh, you can't beat that with a brick stick. That's for sure. My goodness. And so, yeah, as you can see, I had no plan on how far to take and go with this, or where to take and actually go with this. And actually, I'll say that. And, here's one of the reasons why maybe Blake is not able to actually join. Let me do this. Let me copy. Come on. New window. Let me open this over here. Great thing about the dual monitor setup. So screen 2, share. So yeah, it's the storms that rolled through Arkansas, 115,000 without power. Now our buddy Jeremy Vinson, taking in chat with him for a minute yesterday via Facebook Messenger, he said that where he's at, they're talking about it could be as late as next week before they take and get power. So that would absolutely suck goat nads. Just saying, it's a long time to be without power. Most people for the most part are already quarantined at home. So at least you've got video games, or you've got, you can take and watch your soaps, or you can watch whatever TV show you want to watch. Maybe taking, if you got treadmill or something like that, you can take and at least get some exercise. Now you got to actually walk outside in the sunlight and all that happy fun stuff, which you need to get sunlight anyways, vitamin D and all that. But you get what I'm saying. But now you're looking at a bunch of folks for a whole week they've already been at home. Now they're at home with no power. It's not exactly cold in the South. So I'm pretty sure if we're getting 80-degree weather and 90-degree weather, I'm pretty sure Arkansas is probably getting 80-degree weather as well. So now you've got people inside of a hot house. That's never a fun feeling. So it's just, hopefully it doesn't take them that long to actually get their electricity back. That would be just awful way to take and spend the whole week. I know it's no fun whenever we have hurricanes or we have like ice storms around here, and we don't have power for a week. So seeing if I can't find just some pictures like Mississippi had a tornado that was on the ground for over 100 miles. They had one that was on the ground for over 100 miles. They had another one that was on the ground for like 60 or 70 miles, and they were like right behind each other. And one of them was a little bit to the north of where the one that was behind it was taking and following. And it was just, they were probably 15, 20 minutes behind each other. Me and the wife took and watched that on Easter, probably about 3 o'clock that afternoon. I was like, holy cow. It's just, it did damage in Alabama, and not something you like to see, that's for sure. Which I don't see any pictures. I'm not going to try to take and Google. I've got a link up, and it's taking a show on video, but I don't want to take and get any strikes or any kind of claims or anything like that. So here we go. Yeah, the storm damaged Alabama, and you actually get to see like pictures and stuff like that. It's just absolute devastation. So thoughts and prayers to the folks that are affected by this for sure. Oh wow. Well, good thing they're sending some help, because I know that stuff's needed. Whenever you've got 115,000 people down, that's massive system damage that's happened. So kudos to the energy company that you work for doing that. 53 degrees there. Lucky you. Lucky you. Yeah, dude, Fairlawn and what was it? Sterling Oaks got hit real good. I know Cordsville got hit. Down here, Cane Gully Road, right down the road from us, man, it was like they had the head of the road blocked off, and unless you lived down there, you couldn't get down there. And you know these nosy ass people here in Macedonia, they was trying to take and get down there, and it was just, now there's too many of y'all that actually live down here. They was having to turn people around. They was going other places, but the damage they actually said there was people missing there off of Cane Gully Road. So, and I haven't heard anything about that since then, but it's just, yeah, it's not something you think and ever associate with here around this area, especially. That stuff you associate mostly with places like, Oklahoma, or even now like Alabama. Every year it seems like it's getting slammed with tornadoes at some point in time around the Tuscaloosa and the Birmingham areas that are around the upper part of the state, even higher up, like Muscle Shoals and stuff like that. They're around that Tennessee border and everything. Cheers to you, Vanessa. Thanks for stopping in. I'm just taking and doing this. Normally, it's me and Blake, but Blake, my understanding is, doesn't have power. I know Jennifer, his cousin Jennifer, took and posted yesterday on Facebook that she and this was like, shoot, it was like 4:30 or something like that. She was talking about it. She's asking, does anybody else have power? She's like, we've been without power all day or whatever. So it's, hopefully they get that back soon, man. Yeah, exactly. That, and if we get them, it's like once every 20 years we get a tornado roll through here, or if it does, it happens out in the middle of the forest. So all that gets torn up is trees, basically, out there towards Jamestown or whatever. This go around, and that, it started just outside of Walterboro's, where they took and started sounding the alarm for it, and then 160 miles all the way out to McClellan, past McClellanville towards Georgetown. It actually was up and down and everything like that. So cheers for stopping in, Fear Some Beer, and hopefully you're doing good today, man. Sunny and 65 in San Diego. I am jealous as hell. I hear San Diego always has beautiful weather. So Sandline, nearest Big Five Sporting Goods store, waiting for opening, hoping to get dumbbells for my homework. Yeah, I can imagine how that could, got to keep yourself a little bit preoccupied and stuff like that. Especially out there being in California. I know they've got the stay-at-home order over there. I don't know what's been deemed essential over there and what hasn't, but exactly. How did everybody's Easter go? Because I'll be honest with you, we took and chilled here around the house. My wife made a delicious ham. She took and cooked it with some brown sugar, and she took and put pineapple rings on it. I think she took and poured some Coca-Cola over it as well, took and let it sit there in the bottom of the pan, soaked that up, along with a cherry, along with a couple cherries on it. Dude, it turns out so sweet and succulent. And we had that with some greasy rice and some potato salad, and it's just, my goodness. Haven't heard about tornadoes. All we get here in SoCal is COVID-19 news 24/7. I think this is one of the few things here in the South, other than the Kyle Larson fuck up on Saturday or Sunday, that's been anything that that wasn't COVID-19 related. Because it's the same way here. We hear about all the COVID-19 stuff. You want to take and get any kind of anything different than COVID-19, you got to go to YouTube, or you got to take and go to like ESPN, and even then, the conversation still centered around when are the sports coming back from this bullshit, basically. So, I hear that. Cheers to you, Smoking and G Shark. Hopefully you're doing good today, man. Roasted ham, mashed taters, biscuits. Oh, that does sound good. Yeah, I remember you saying y'all took them was out at the Llama Farm, because if I'm not mistaken, it was Rod that took them went live on Easter. Yeah, because hell, I was part of it. I didn't even take a drink that much, so I don't know why I'm trying to sit there and think about, wait, did he go live? That sounds good, though. My wife, what was it? Saturday, my wife took and made, she made beef stew, and then her mom took, or no, it's Friday. She had beef, she made beef stew, and we had cat head biscuits with it. So that was absolutely delectable. I'm telling you what. Some of the things every so often I like doing is taking and looking and seeing what's trending on Twitter. And I'll be honest with you, it's all a bunch of BS today on Twitter. It seems like every time you go into Twitter anymore, it's either hashtag, Orange Man Bad, or hashtag, somebody dying. It seems like that's all I get to see anymore on Twitter. Let's see. Yeah, I'm looking, thinking, I figured I'd look real quick, thinking maybe they had something a little bit interesting. It might be trending right now, but the top trending is just, ugh. Let's see. Death of a Strawberry. What is that? Oh, apparently it's a game or a song. Anyways, so yeah, well, a war on our mind? That's exactly what this is. It's crazy because they're taking and pushing. Not tomorrow, possibly Thursday, maybe Friday. I'm gonna put out a video. It actually might be Monday, because I plan on putting a little bit of extra oomph in the research on this one. But I just find it funny how Bill Gates has his hands in everything that is COVID-19 related, whether it be the vaccines, because he owns like 20-something companies that take and do bioengineering and vaccination type stuff. And he also owns money in in a lot of these companies that make the hydroxychloroquine, which is one of the things that Trump took and pushed. Which I find it funny, because there's doctors that are already prescribing it. They're seeing massive turnaround after taking and giving their patients the hydroxychloroquine and either high levels of zinc or the Z-Packs and stuff like that. And 2 days time, a lot of times, 2-3 days time, these people are coming from the brain, from the edge of death back to where they're, improving massively. So, but now Trump's being called a drug pusher and a pill pusher and stuff like that. And it's like, what? I honestly believe Trump could find the cure to cancer and it'd be deemed racist by the mainstream media. I really do. I don't agree with 90% of what the fellow takes, and not so much 90% of what he says or the topics or anything, but a lot of his policy choices I just haven't been a big fan of. I just didn't like him because whenever he was running, I was like, this dude is just, how the fuck do people running for this bombastic son of a bitch that's coming out here and he's bullying everybody on the fucking stage and everything like that. Cheers to you, Rod. Hope you're doing good today, man. Exactly. How to be healthy with his drugs. Yeah, he's got, it's like 200. And actually, the company the institute that took and put out the initial projections that the Trump campaign or that the Trump administration used, and the updated projections since those first ones that were showed the possibility of 2.4 million people to die, and then to 200,000 and now 60,000. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation actually donated they're big donors to that place. Just in the past year, they donated $279 million to the institute. So you can't take and tell me there's something afoot here. Definitely something afoot. I even been seeing stuff about taking in, having immunity cards and stuff like that to show, that you either had it and you've now got immunity to it, or, possibly later on down the line, vaccines, which takes and tells me they're possibly looking at forcing vaccines on people, which, look, I'm all for vaccines. I really am, whether it taken be the measles, mumps, rubella, and all that good stuff. There's a reason why this stuff is not widespread no more. At the same point in time, you can't force people to take and do stuff to their body that they don't want to take and do, because that's what you call personal fucking liberty. And I don't remember reading anything anywhere about where, as a human being, you don't have the right to take and go, I don't fucking want that. As simple as that. Unless it's set up by the fucking government as far as like your education, which even then you can fucking you can be homeschooled. But this is setting stuff up for some really just odd and scary fucking propositions here. Yeah, you always seem to catch things at the right moment, man, whenever you come in here, because I'm always on some kind of rant. Yes, exactly, Vanessa. Hopefully everything, hold on. Six-year-old, the Wii U died. I told you I don't know what to tell you. I'll deal with that here in a little bit. Four other, yeah, that's good. See, and that's Soviet type stuff. Where's your papers? Motherfucker, I shouldn't need papers just to take and go, get my hair done or something like that. Like, for real, fuck off. That's authoritarian type bullshit. I mean, we've got enough of a police state as it stands. We don't have to go full retard, like, for real. Cheers to you, CB. Thanks for stopping in, man. Hopefully everything's going good for you and you had a good Easter. Oh no, I wouldn't take and smack. Dude, I take and threaten to whip their rear ends all the damn time, but normally all it is just a stern talking to, and I take and wind up doing what the fuck they want me to do anyway. So that's normally how that goes, just because I remember getting smacked as a kid and I didn't care for it. I wasn't beaten or anything like that, but I got smacked as a kid and I didn't fucking care for it. So they're good kids for the most part. It's just sometimes they don't want to listen. Exactly. I said this the very first time we took and brought up whenever the virus was just starting to hit the news, and it was coming through. Yeah, they've taken locked down 11 million people in China because of this and blah blah blah. And the talking heads was like, "Oh no, it's no threat over here." I made the comment on the B&A show fucking almost 2 months ago now about this is going to be governments taking, and they're going to use this as an excuse to see exactly what citizens are willing to take. I do believe I'm right on that. Definitely true on that one. Yeah, no beard cutting. I can't be I can't be messing with the majesty of this. I just really, it just doesn't set well in the pit of my stomach thinking about that. So. Shit, anytime I've ever relocated across state lines, the only thing I've ever had to take and do is take and switch my driver's license over and take and do that. All I've ever done to take and make sure I'm current the state that I'm in is take and show that I've got a bill for an address where I'm living at, or something with my name on the address that I'm trying to take and get things changed to, and a social security card. I've never had to take and show anything more than that. Now, take and go across like country lines and stuff like that, yeah. But as far as state lines, I've never had to do that. And I've lived in Virginia, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, South Carolina, California. I've been a couple places. Never had to do that, thankfully. It did this, dude. This started so long ago. And the thing about it is, people don't realize. Like I've been saying this. One of the things I've been saying, reading comments across articles and stuff like that, or even in like discussions on Facebook. People like, oh, they're, our rights, our rights. We do still have rights technically. However, if you take a look at stuff like the Patriot Act, and even before the Patriot Act, when the National Defense Authorization Act actually took and authorized the use of martial law in case of national emergency, which that's been rolled into something else. Part of that language is in the Defense Production Act, but the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, authorized not only like in dire times of national emergency, whether it be war or other reasons, the federal government could take and mandate martial law. They could nationalize the industry in this nation and take and control all interstate commerce, as well as imports, exports, embargoes, tariffs, and things of that nature. National Defense Production Act. That's been, we've taken in, enacted parts of the National Defense Authorization Act. Well, you take a look at National Defense Authorization Act, or not that, but the Defense Production Act that Trump talked about whenever he took and declared a national emergency. Part of what that does is actually allows the federal government to nationalize industry to take and suit the purposes needed by the federal government, which is the reason why when GM said, no, we're not going to take and, we're not going to take and produce masks, or we're not going to take and produce the ventilators or whatever. And Trump said, no, I'm actually enacting that part. Now you have to do it. So cheers to you, Jeremy. If you're able to take and hop on here, I don't care if it's via phone, it'd be awesome if you can do so. If not, homie, hopefully you're doing good. Hopefully, I know you showed me the video last night of how you got things run over there. Hopefully y'all don't have to take and be set up like that for long, man, because that sucks. It really does. Not start in 2016 whenever Trump became president. This shit started under fucking Reagan. You take a look at Ollie North being asked, is there, whenever he was asked during the Senate trials there, after the whole Contra stuff, whether or not there's a plan in place to suspend the United States Constitution, and he wouldn't answer the fucking question. It started actually back before that, back in like the 50s and 60s, because the first time it was after World War II that the National Defense Authorization Act was actually signed into law for the very first time, where it took and granted the federal government that power. So, yeah, it didn't start with Trump, as much as I don't care for him. No. Bullshit. Human rights are absolute. Simple as that. That's the reason why the ability to defend oneself, that's an absolute right. That's one of the reasons why the founders of the country took and whenever they said these are inalienable rights, that's because these are recognized rights that humans have. So no, rights are absolute. I completely disagree with that. Thank God we have a Second Amendment. I think people need some. I got to be careful with that. Just going to say. Let's see. Cheers to you, Todd. Hopefully you're doing good today, man. Exactly, Vanessa. Exactly. And see, that's one of the things that, a lot of people taking like, oh, Reagan was so good. Look, Reagan took and did some good things for the economy, but he took and run up national debt. He also took and flooded the ghettos and stuff like that in our inner cities with fucking crack cocaine and with cocaine and crack cocaine and heroin. Our federal government fucking did that through the CIA. You take and believe that shit if you want to or not, but that fucking happened. So everybody's like, oh, the government's just trying to look out for our best benefit. Fuck you. If you actually believe that, because that means you're a fucking sheep. For damn sure. You're not paying attention. I'll tell you what, people ask me, you really think there'd ever be a civil war or another revolution? If there's a civil, we got ideological civil war. I think people are too fucking lazy to actually take up guns and do what the fucking founders actually said needs to happen in the face of tyranny. So no, I don't think there'd ever be another revolution like that. But I believe we see tyranny. We've been seeing it for the last 30 years, which has been increasing, but everybody's too lazy because they're too comfortable. Contraband in America. Damn right. Not only that, we played Kingmaker so much across the world where it's like, oh yeah, this country fell. And I hear, this person got ousted somewhere and they're doing a regime change. Where the fuck were our fingers at over there? That's my first question. Where the fuck were our fingers at over there? I'm not saying that we, that we're an awful country by any means, but we're definitely not fucking. Whenever it comes to politics in other countries, people I find it hilarious taking a reading through comments and taking a reading through stuff when I've taken roll through articles on Facebook. People going, for people that comment about U.S. politics over here and they live in Europe and stuff like that. Why don't you shut the fuck up and worry about your country? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, motherfucker, they're probably more educated on what the fuck's going on over here than what the fuck you are at the moment. Just saying. We see this. We're getting into areas right here to where the only reason why there's limits on the Constitution is because after the 1900s, the Supreme Court started looking at it not as an actual written, this is not up for interpretation. This is what it says, to being a living, breathing document that changes with the times. It's not the limits that are there. The first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights, that right there, that's the limit on what the government can do to us. Everything else is what gives everything else that's past that is stuff that the federal government's took in the past to take and put limits on different things. The first 10 amendments limits what they can take and do to us. And the inalienable rights that we have, free speech, means we can take and talk and say our fucking mind, say fuck the president, say fuck whoever we want to, or you're not supposed to take and I understand the reason why people are like, oh, you can't take and yell in a crowded theater. All right, that's cool, whatever. But that's the reason why we have the idiots that we do in America to take and spout even racist fucking bullshit, is because freedom of speech. It's the reason why we carry guns. Those don't have limits. They shouldn't have limits. We can take and have that discussion, but that would take and turn this into a 3-hour thing, because it's the first 10 amendments. No, those Bill of Rights, that limits what the government can take and do, and it takes and tells us, hey, look, if this is, this is what you look out for, and this is when you scream bloody murder, because the federal government's overstepping its bounds. This is your right as a citizen, and this is your limitation as a federal government. It's not a living, breathing document. That's not what it is at all. It's written in black and white rights. Simple as that. And it's not always been a debatable area. It's only since it's like 1920s they took and started looking at it as a living, breathing document that can be bent to the will of the times. You take and look and see. And I'm telling you, not mostly up to about the 1920s, everything was black and white. The way they take and rule was, how is it written in the Constitution? Okay, the federal government doesn't have that right. Well, this is going against the federal government. Or it's something that's relegated back to the states, because the power that wasn't given to the federal government within the Constitution, it took and fell back to the states. So the states had the rights to take and determine past what was in the Bill of Rights, what they wanted to allow their citizens to take and do. But see, that's more of cause and effect than anything, though, because you take and yell fire in a crowded theater, you're going to have people getting trampled to death. So you're going to be causing death. So you can be held accountable for that because you cause a panic and cause a death. Yeah. That's not theory, that's just common sense. But like I said, this is something I could take and debate. I could take and talk about for a long time. But I'd rather not make the whole show about politics. As much as it seems like I steer there quite often. It's just shit just doesn't make a whole lot of sense as far as what's going on right now. And so, yeah, we'll take and save this conversation for another time. Maybe I'll take and do a live stream where it's political debate, and just we can debate different things, because I think that would be interesting to take and see how we all view things. I have a feeling we all take and view things differently. There should be none. Well-regulated militia that is not, or the way it reads, people take them like, see, it's got regulated. Well-regulated back in those times meant in working order. There was no limitations on what citizens could buy, because back then you could buy a cannon if you had money to as a private citizen. If you want to take and make changes to it, then you take and go through the process of changing amendments. Simple as that. That's my thought on it. Exactly. But see, the thing about that is, though, that's the reason why they have the amendment process, because you can't take and when something's written and the words are there in black and white, is one thing to take and view it as a living document, but it's not to be interpreted as a living document. That's one of the reasons why they put the amendment process in there. You can make changes to the amendments, but you've got to go through the proper channels. That way, as you take and go along, okay, we see that, this is actually how stuff should be. Let's take and add this addendum to this amendment, so that way, whenever it comes up before courts or is brought up or anything of that nature, there's no need to take and have interpretation. It's written in a way to where there's no room for guessing on this. So. And see, that's another thing we can get into, because him being, he was, it's one of those things he took and from all intents and purposes, from reading you get some accounts to where it was something he was kind of comfortable with, and a lot of other stuff you read, especially some of his personal writings, that he was very uncomfortable with, because he didn't buy slaves. He was took and bequeathed the slaves in the will of one of his family members or something like that, but still he could have took and freed them. So, and people have gotten into the whole hierarchy of how his whole plantation run and everything like that. That still doesn't change the fact that he still had slaves. He could have took and just freed them all, but that would have presented a whole another different set of issues as well. At least back that, well, I say that there were free men at that point in time. We had free men that took and actually signed, that took and helped with the Constitution, and also that took and fought during the American War for Independence. So, getting your daily AG report, I hear that. So, yeah, there's a whole lot of there's a whole lot we can go into as far as a lot of this is concerned. Because one of the things that actually, like the offspring of the children he reared with the lady that he took and had I would say affair with, but the woman he took and slept with, the slave that he actually took and kept basically as a concubine, from the way it seems, before she actually reading her, taking and reading bits and pieces of her diary, she kind of told him, hey, look, I'm not going to continue this shit, unless I get something out of it. So, again, that's a whole different. That's something I'll take and go on for. I could go on for an hour or two with, because again, we have the amendment process. The way it's written, that's the way it needs to be interpreted. If you think it's not being interpreted properly, or if you think there needs to be changes in the language to it, then you make those changes. That way, when it goes before a court, you can't have these liberal interpretations of stuff. You just can't. Doesn't matter what the subject matter is on. That way you don't have dumb shit like the fucking Patriot Act. That's the reason why we have the amendment process. Exactly. It's something that has existed and has been the downfall of many civilizations from here, for time immemorial, since the dawn of mankind. Because at some point in time, the people that are either in the indentured servitude or as straight up slaves, they're going to take and get tired of it. They'll rise up and throw off those bonds of slavery. But it's definitely a black mark on just about, I think, about every civilization known to man. That goes back to the whole changing mindset and everything of that nature, because you see this isn't right. Enough people go, this isn't right. Well, then it's going to take and go by the wayside. Thankfully, it has here in this country. See, that's one of those that's I say affair is she didn't have a whole lot of choice in the matter. So yes, that way it was rape, but there was also, I've watched a couple of things with some of the descendants from Sally Hemings, and apparently there was a cordial relationship as far as that is concerned. Now I don't know how far. I don't know what they've got access to, but from some of the stuff they've read, because even like he took her to France with him whenever he was the ambassador to France, and she told him whenever she got, he wanted to take her, I think Italy or something like that. And she's like, no, I'm not going anywhere else. I'll go back home to where my family's at. And if you want to take and continue doing stuff, you can set me up in my own house and stuff. And that just didn't happen. Nah, dude, this is the kind of conversations I think needs to take and happen. This is the kind of stuff that I think, because I think stuff like this is just lost too much. Like, we can all have cordial conversations. We can all take and have our different viewpoints. Like, as far as the whole thing with rape, I agree. I've heard something different, but then again, she didn't really have much choice. So yeah, it's definitely that. The whole situation is messed up. That's for sure. And even now, her children, her ancestors, the descendants that she had from him they're recognized by certain parts of the Jefferson family, but in other parts, like they're the direct great grandson of Thomas Jefferson is actually fighting with direct like great grandson of Jefferson, and Hemings are actually fighting together to get him and his siblings as part of the trust that was set up through Jefferson that still is going on today. So all right, man. Well, thanks for stopping in. Like I said, I always enjoy the conversation. It's just, yeah, at some point in time, I have to take and do a live stream where it's political debate and things like that. And see, that seems crazy that somebody would actually take and work it to their angle like that. But like I said, I just took and went off of what I've heard, taking it, coming from her. It's like great grandson or something like that. Like he's direct descendant. I say that great. It's like 5 down the line, but apparently she kept writings or something like that. So I completely agree. Completely agree with that. Capital punishment. I think it needed to be put up in the town square and shot. That way, people think twice before they do something so vile. I agree. I think I do, and I might actually just take and do it. I'm still trying to hash that out. I really am, because I don't know whether I'd take and actually have start these kind of conversations on another channel or just take and do them on here. But I think some of these conversations definitely need to be had. So thanks for stopping in, buddy. I always appreciate it. You aren't talking very much today. It must be because I've talked some we've been talking some politics. The wife does not care for politics whatsoever. She basically zonks out and goes to sleep, which after, for a lot of folks, I completely get that, because a lot of it's nuance and just mundane details and, just absolute banal bullshit for the most part. It's just where everybody takes and differs on where they agree and disagree on a lot of times nuance or even the whole philosophies. Cheers to you, Rod. Have a good rest of the day, man. If you're going to be on later tonight playing some Warzone or something, or COD, I'll be on later tonight at some point. So, the Balsers are there. Oh, okay. Yeah, I bet he's probably getting a foot long. He's probably getting more than 1 foot long, if I had to venture a guess, because they don't look at the kind of stuff he got busted for very nicely there in prison. So, all right. Well, I actually think this is probably a good stopping point, because I don't know where else they can go from here once I've veered to the left like it did from what we were talking about to politics. I thank everybody that stopped by. This is, I know, 13 minutes before normally we would take and end it, but I do have kids in the living room I have to get back to. Dude, that's one of the things. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, real quick, that's one of the things I've seen, is because, like, I've seen some reports on, like, some of these coalitions, the farm coalitions and stuff like that, are like, they're paying like dairy farmers are telling them, hey, look, sell your cows and, stop doing the dairy farming, and we'll pay you to stop doing it. So, and I know I've seen stuff where there's crops that are just rotting. So I understand that the restaurants are closed, but supermarkets are still open. See, that's one of the things. I think part of this, which maybe I'll do a tinfoil hat show tonight or something like that. I'll take him, come on, and I'll actually have a tinfoil hat. I can tell you where I think some of the stuff might be headed. But exactly. It seems like they could take some of that stuff and they could set up farmers markets in their own places. They can send out a farm hand or two to take and actually, do the farmers market, pay them out of that, and find ways to, offset some of the downturn due to the schools being closed, due to, restaurants only doing takeout and curbside and stuff like that. Are just, it would seem like the prices of stuff would take and come down, because now there should be, more available than what it is, but it's having the reverse effect on that. So, which is kind of different from the stock market, because 17 million people have lost their jobs, but the stock market's still going up. And it's like, I almost think they're trying to induce a collapse, because they're pumping up to that. The Federal Reserve has said we're going to take and pump up to $1 trillion a day into the into the markets for liquidity purposes, which part of that's the repo market. So they're buying treasury bonds and having people taking and buy debt and stuff like that, and they're taking and buying more, giving more money for mortgages and stuff like that at zero interest rates and everything. It's just not a lot of this shit is making sense to me, because you can use the modern monetary theory all you want, but at some point in time, all that money that you're printing not being backed by something, it not having any value, you're going to take and see the price of things just kind of go. It's going to want to devaluing the dollar. So, good God, 600 acres. Holy shit. That is absolutely crazy, dude. Oh, no, I completely agree with that, Vanessa. I know they have. It's like they're setting us up to be dependent, to be completely dependent on the government. They're taking, because they're talking about possibly 18 months of rolling shutdowns. We're not set up to survive that, or we're not set up to take and handle that. We just aren't. So people are already bitching about the cost of living. What's going to happen once, due to all of this, and let's say 3 weeks from now, everybody's able to go back to work, but 8 weeks after that, they have to take and do another 2 months worth of shutdowns. Well, what's going to happen to them? Because you can't just take and stop and start the economy. It doesn't work like that. It's not going to take, and that's a recipe for disaster. So, thanks so much for stopping in and for commenting. Maybe tonight or tomorrow night or something, maybe I'll take and do a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory show based around the government, COVID-19, and all kinds of crazy stuff. We can talk aliens and pyramids and all kinds of stuff if y'all want to. I've been wanting to do one like that at some point in time anyways. But thanks for stopping in. I greatly appreciate all the comments. Vanessa, Rod, Wifey, Trevor, so CB, y'all, thanks for stopping in. And anybody else that I might have missed, Smoking and G Sharp, my buddy Yoda, Mr. Jeremy Vinson, Trevor, Beer Hounds, Fearsome Beard. Thank y'all very much for stopping in. It's greatly appreciated. Y'all all have very, very lovely days. So, peace.